In the age of AI and machine learning, governance needs to be more dynamic. No longer is it a one-time case study that you do, but it's actually the way that you change your culture within an organization. So today we have humans in a loop in almost every aspect in your data lifecycle and your analytics ecosystem. Tomorrow, that's not going to be the case, right? We're going to see changes to organizations, how they have their operating model. So we're seeing that a lot of companies are looking at how do we have a 1-to-4 ratio, 1-to-5, 1 human to 5 agents, right? Today, it's still very much in I would say, the infancy stage, but probably within the next year or two, we're going to start seeing a lot of these agentic AI. We're here at Databricks conference. They talked about a lot of the ways that they're going to start to prepare data, allow for agents to actually branch data in itself from databases. Now imagine, what is that going to look like when you no longer have a human in the loop to monitor that? And so having a robust data governance, automation, in that piece where you actually have agentic AI calling to Immuta's platform, just think about the possibilities in terms of how you manage that monitor. So having that in place, right, where you can actually monitor the data quality, but also making sure that things are in compliance, that you are risk mitigations. In organizations, the biggest thing is how do we make sure that we mitigate our liabilities, data being one of them. So in this age of AI and ML, even more important that your data governance is dynamic and it's robust enough to actually accommodate that. The problem that we see, right, and what we humans always try to challenge is the pace. How do we keep up with the pace of innovation and disruption? Companies need to leverage tools that are available to meet those demands while making sure that they continue to have a sustainment model in terms of how they operate. So I see it in terms of keeping pace with the market demands. When you think about defense and offense in terms of your data strategy, your defense is obviously making sure that you are compliant, right? That you are no longer, you're not going to be fined. And if you do, there's audits. There's a clear audit trail in terms of how data was actually accessed, as well as who has rights, right? So that's the defensive side. Now, offensive is now what we're seeing more companies think through as they're having more perspective. They get data from third parties in itself. They create their own data, and they want to start to package that to help other communities that would benefit. Most organizations also figure out how they monetize on that data. So you can just imagine as a customer yourself, and you are pulling up a digital app, right? And you hit the consent and you say, yes, you can track my location, right? Yes, you can actually, while I'm using or always, right? One, the defensive side is make sure that those consent forms are actually agreed upon, right? But the offensive side is now you start to figure out how do I integrate the way that this individual is engaging with this app, where are they actually engaging at what time, start to create patterns, right? So again, more and more these ideas of make sure innovation is being met and digital experience becomes even more relevant to have more of a robust data governance solution, right? Trust is one of the most important glue words in society, even more so in a transaction. And therefore, that trust that you have internally, you have organizations who have in itself silos. They have, I would say, firewalls built for specific purposes by design. And that also leaks into the way that they manage their data, right? And so the biggest risk for internal is how do I make sure I give the right access to users who deserve it, who are using it properly? And how do I automate that, say, expiration of the access in itself? So if you only have a few data sets, very easy. But think about as you continue to scale and you have hundreds of data sets, it's humanly not possible to be in front of a computer to hit approve every single time. So the risk is making sure that you are giving access to the right user at the timely basis. On the external, right? Again, today, a lot of it is how do you, as a company, make sure you're understanding the market signals of your customers, and how do you gather and harvest their data as much as you can, but do it in a very ethical way, right? And that biggest risk, again, going back to some of the regulations like GDPR and CCPA, risk-wise, internally is making sure there's trust in there. Externally, same thing. Trusting, because once that's broken, your company's ability to get more data becomes at risk.